So, hello everybody, and welcome to the third SaaStock Google Hangouts. Super excited to be joined today by a founder of one of, I guess it's a global SaaS company now, but we'll claim it as a European success story. The person I'm speaking to and the face that you can see is that of Nikos Moraitakis. CEO and co-founder of Workable. Welcome, Nikos.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No, it's a real pleasure. So, where are you calling from today? Those bricks look like they're from Boston.
Yes, I am in Boston.
Okay, I know my Boston bricks, right? Or
exactly.
or it's a good guess. Excellent. So, Nikos, obviously this is a SaaStock Google Hangout, but I expect living in the SaaS bubble that I do. Everybody's heard of you. Everybody's heard of Workable. But why don't you give an intro to yourself? To Workable, a little bit of sort of origin. Maybe for those that are watching this that haven't heard of you guys before.
I hope there's not going to be a lot of them.
Yeah.
But in any case, so Workable is a SaaS company started in Greece. Now. It's gone a little bit more global than that. One of our biggest offices are in Boston. Most of our customers are in the United States. We make recruiting software.
Mm-hmm.
Our platform basically caters for anything you need to do from the moment you have a job description all the way to the day you've hired someone. It's been around for less than 3 years. It's grown pretty fast. I think right now it must be one of the most popular recruiting platforms out there with more than 5,000 customers and 600 or 700 new ones joining every month.
Wow.
So we've raised $33 and something million from some of the Europe's better VCs. We're growing very fast. Mm-hmm. And it's been a lot of fun.
Good stuff. So yeah, you have, less than or around about sort of 3 years old, scaling globally, 5,000 customers. That's very impressive. How many people are you roughly today?
Now the team is, I think, 95 or 97 people.
Okay, cool.
We've been hiring a lot, so I have to check every rest of the week.
Probably a few joining every week, I imagine. So. Workable is a recruitment software platform, and you guys are scaling, sort of rapidly. So, what I want to focus on a little bit today, is hiring, building a recruitment machine, if you were, and also we can talk a little bit, get some of your opinions about, building successful SaaS companies. And a little bit of fluff at the end, talk about SaaStock and stuff like that. So sound good to you?
Yep.
Excellent, good stuff. So the first question is given fast revenue and customer growth that a lot of SaaS companies experience, and they hire rapidly, like yourselves, to support and prepare for future growth. What are the challenges SaaS companies that are doing this face, and I guess bringing it back to Workable when hiring rapidly?
I think the biggest problem. They share a lot of challenges with many other fast-growing companies. In the beginning, SaaS companies are very product-driven, so they have to face the very tough problem of engineering hiring very early on, when they are least equipped and they have the least amount of money. So that is very tough, and I think what makes the best SaaS companies have some early success is if the founders themselves are good recruiters, and good recruiters, maybe not professional recruiters, but are capable of selling the idea and the vision of the company to some excellent engineers and bringing them on board. Mm-hmm. Then the problem that you see usually past Series A is that SaaS is a kind of business where the marketing playbook is evolving fast, and also the table stakes are very high. So you need to find people that can both experiment and iterate fast, but also you need people who have existing experience. You cannot try to invent everything from the beginning. Mm-hmm. There is a relatively small pool of people because it's a new industry. So again, a very competitive hiring landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And the ultimate problem that they face, typically I see in our customers around Series B, is that the moment they find marketing channels or sales channels that work, they need to scale really fast. It's different to be able to hire a few good people through your network and being able to find 10 good salespeople on board them and train them within a few months. And in my experience, both our experience and from friends of mine in the industry, this is where most people stumble the most, because they just lose some time where they could have grown much faster because they weren't fast enough in scaling the team. And typically teams like that don't even know how to do it. They learn it as they go along.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. I think, initially, if the founders have that sort of sales ability to sell the dream and the vision, as you say, that's really key. And even if you're not a natural sort of salesperson, I guess you've got to find that skill, right, to do that. Now, if we, David Scott from Matrix Partners, who writes the For Entrepreneurs sort of epic posts. He argues that recruiting is the third critical startup skill. Do you agree with that? And I guess how do you get skilled at recruiting? I mean, we sort of mentioned that you've got to be able to sell this vision. How is that something innate, or can you learn this?
Look, it's a business process. So I like the title, the third critical skill for startups. I don't know if it's the third or the first. I would, I would argue that if you're really good at recruiting, everything else becomes so much easier. How do you get good at marketing? By getting great marketing people. How do you get good at product? You get great engineers. So for me, it's just like part of running a business. There's no way you can build a great business unless you develop the capability to hire great people. Now, where most startups, the trickiest part for startups is in the beginning, as you said, this has to do with the individual skills of the founders. But when the company grows, essentially you need to teach your company to do good recruiting. And that's where the tricky part begins. And I think it's the same for marketing, for sales, for all the other. In the beginning, you are the product designer and you are the main engineer and you are the marketer. And then you have to create a company that knows how to market, that knows how to sell, that knows how to recruit great people. Usually what I've seen happening in companies at this stage, including us, is that suddenly you're faced with thin talent pipelines. Because in the beginning you were milking your network, but you haven't developed the capability to develop hunting grounds, to understand which companies you're going to get people from, what kind of talent, to develop the relationships earlier. So many, just like in sales, many people suddenly realize, the pipeline for the next 6 months is thin, and we're not going to be able to make our targets and our hiring plan. They usually react with a very fat process because there's so many people out there selling black magic to you, like, you're going to have these scores and this method and these culture fit this or that, or these magic tricks and these talent pools. And you think you're going to solve it with, very meticulous process and tests and this and that. But in reality, this process doesn't work as much as having a good employer brand and finding the right people and being able to source very well. And what happens is that the fat process also eats a lot of time from valuable people. The combination of the fat process and the thin talent pipeline has one common outcome: dropping the standards. Just get anyone we can get.
Yeah.
And if this hits you when you're around 50 or 60 people, where the founders have less visibility at the bottom of the organization, then suddenly your entire company becomes less skilled. This is one of the trickiest part of scaling. Being able to be a better recruiter as an organization, not as a person, can really help at that stage. Can really resolve a lot of the scaling issues, but it's really hard to do.
Okay. And you know, Mark Roberge from HubSpot, he wrote the Sales Acceleration Machine book that you may or may not have read. It's very good for those that haven't. And you know, Lincoln Murphy and Brian Balfour, they write and talk about growth machines. You know, what is this sort of Nikos Moraitakis' tips in building a recruiting machine? And I'm expecting you to write a book after this called Nikos' Recruitment Machine. But what are your short sort of tips around that?
The things I usually tell people is that focus on a simple process that you can do really well. No hacks, no black magic, no magic tricks. Just like in sales and marketing, you need to find a simple process that works, that your organization can execute really well. Why do I care about the good execution? It's because recruiting is one of those things that has a huge reputation risk. If you start recruiting and do it, the recruiting process, think about it. It's one of the processes that is visible very much to the people you care the most about. For every one candidate that you hire, another 50 went through your recruiting process. They went through your ridiculous tests, through your unresponsive team, from your spammy recruiting tactics, your miscommunication, your 3 interviewers who were unprepared or repeated the same things, your lack of follow-up, your lack of rejection. One of my number one interview question, usually because I'm the last one to do an interview, my first question is, how has the recruiting process been so far? Have we been fast, polite? Did it make sense? Does it give you the sense that this is a sophisticated company which has a rigorous organization, but did we do it in a way that harassed you? And building an employer brand, for the people who come in contact with your recruiting process is very important. So I think in the early stages, a company that establishes a recruiting process sets the tone about what kind of company they are. And they teach their own employees how we do this and how we treat other people and how we see external people who might become our colleagues. And they teach the market how this company views talent outside the company. So if you want to build a growth engine for recruiting, start from building a great company. Your employees are your best ambassadors. Hire people that can hire other people. In the very extreme case, you can hire someone who's totally useless at the job. If you can find 5 or 10 fantastic people for that and hire them, you'd be better off than getting the best individual contributor out there. Develop a reputation that you're a good company and reinforce the reputation by the way you approach people and the way you talk to them during the recruiting process. All the other stuff, okay, I'm going to undermine myself. Tools. Of course you're going to get tools. Are tools going to solve the problem? No, they're not. We are selling one. It's going to support you. It's going to make it easier for you. It's going to take a lot of the tedium out of the way. But is it going to save you? Is getting a tool like Workable, one of the competing tools, going to make you a good recruiter? No. You are a good company. You treat the recruiting process as a conversation where you establish great relationships with other people outside. And this is how you build a growth engine. Because ultimately, your goal is that the best people in the market should be banging your door and saying, let me in, let me come and work for you. If you could do that, you could have the worst recruiting team in the world. You could be the most clueless recruiter in the world and still run a great company.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Sourcing more than process.
Okay, awesome insights there on the recruitment front. And now I just want to sort of take a sidestep into a question I've asked everybody. I would say everybody. This is the thing out. But I've spoken to Des Traynor and Peter Reinhardt from Segment, and I asked them about the theme of SaaStock this year is about how to build category-leading B2B SaaS business, and what we want, from each of the sessions is, to get some insights into how to do that. So I've asked Des the question, how do you do that, Peter? So I'm asking you. It will only be fair. So I want to know, what does it take to build a category-leading B2B SaaS business? What do you think are the key ingredients, according to Nikos?
I don't know. I'm still trying to find
out.
Yeah.
I'll accept that as an answer.
No. There's so many different paths for success, so I don't think there's a single answer to that. What I am seeing from our experience, and what I'm seeing when I'm trying to think about the better companies out there, I think good SaaS businesses have one thing in common. No, good businesses in general have this thing in common. They have empathy with the customers. Mm-hmm. When you build something that somebody pays by month or by year, and it has to work for them, and it has to be a success for them to keep paying for it, you have to really understand them, understand what they need, and what is good for them. Definitely, depending on whether you go on SMB or large enterprise, there's other skills. So for SMB, an obsession with product design or technical marketing is more valuable than an obsession with sales process, which is more useful in the enterprise. And there's so many other skills to have, but I think at the foundation of everything is that, do you really care about customers? And do you really understand what they need? Because that's unless you have that, you have no hope of actually delivering the product. Now, the skills to actually translate it into a product and to sell it and position it correctly, all of these things as well. But I think you have to start from that. That is a common thing. And the other common thing I see all great companies have is that in some way they manage to put together a very good team. The way I see it, from the perspective of the founder here, a founder is in a constant conversation between customers and employees. Mm-hmm. He tries to understand what this market wants, and he tries to have a great relationship with the best people that can actually match that. And is standing in between and is like administering this conversation between your team and the customers and making sure that this makes sense. This is a very abstract as a concept, but all the rest is managing a business. This is the core thing you think about.
Awesome. And different answers, from what I got from Des and Peter, and as you say, I think there is no one single answer, right? But it's interesting to hear what everybody's opinion is on that. And so, getting into the kind of like the fluffier side of things with this question. So, aside from Workable, of course, who are the most exciting SaaS companies? That, in your opinion, and why?
I'm not going to name names.
Okay.
But what interests me the most is I see a new breed of SaaS companies that deliver service to other software companies versus via APIs. Mm-hmm. This is an interesting type of company, and for me, I find it very intriguing. How you can build a business like that, and some of them, it's very interesting. I don't know. And the other thing I like that there's also a lot of very exciting company in vertical plays where they just go and service a particular industry across many different functions. Mm-hmm. I do not have an opinion on the market and how easy or hard or good or bad it is. But if I were to start a SaaS company right now, I would be very tempted to do one of those.
Okay, awesome. And moving into the final two questions now, which are SaaStock related, and we can call them plugs, if you will. So obviously you're speaking at the inaugural SaaStock this year, yes. September the 22nd in Dublin. I'm super excited about that. What excites you about the conference?
Well, I think Europe, for some reason, has a very, very good SaaS cloud software scene going in the past few years. Mm-hmm. Some pretty amazing companies, lots of new ones which are very promising. It's a thing now for startups in Europe, and I think it's about time the people in the scene got together and we could put together an event, a time and place where we can all meet and discuss. That I don't want to say rivals the American ones, but at least provides access to an event of that sort to people in Europe, especially the younger ones who are entering the scene right now. So I'm excited to see Europe have a big event around SaaS, because I think we have a ton of good people to be present there. And the other thing I like is, I think we're going to see an evolution of a mini culture around SaaS in Europe, because it is special. You know, our needs and our perspectives are not the same as your typical Silicon Valley company. And the way they grow and the way they expand all over the world, they are somehow different. So bringing together a lot of people who have gone through that or are thinking about this, I think we're going to have different things to discuss than what you would find in a San Francisco conference on the same topic.
Okay, awesome. I like that answer, and yeah, you know, say one of the reasons that, you know, we're doing SaaStock is exactly that. Got so many fantastic companies and a great scene, you know, emerging here that, you know, we really been crying out for our own sort of, you know, conference, and as you say, not to rival the Americans. It's kind of, you know, to complement. There's enough room, you know, for both. Absolutely. And I guess aside from you know, the talk and the session that you'll be involved in, you know, who else are you kind of looking forward to hear speak? You know, are there any particular people?
A lot.
Okay.
I want to hear the people who I haven't heard before, or the people who are new to the scene, or the people that I haven't had the chance to hear about. Okay, you know, Des and Christoph, you know, I know them. We've talked many times. I've seen them many times. I'm always excited to hear what they have to say, because they're really smart. But I'm more interested to discover other people doing interesting things and having smart things to say that I don't know. And I've been away setting up the whole shop here in Boston and spending a lot of time in America for a while. So I'm really excited to go back to Europe for a bit and see what other great people are in the scene.
Cool. And catch up with some old friends as well.
And of course.
Over a pint of Guinness. All right. Good stuff. Well, Nikos, to come to the end of the questions, fantastic guest, you know, really some great insights there. And yeah, super excited about, you know, having you come over to Dublin in September, on September the 22nd for SaaStock. So, you know, thanks again for your time, and looking forward to having a pint of Guinness with you in September.
Looking forward to it too. See you in Dublin.
Excellent. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.